Stalled bill that would give former inmates a second chance could be back on track now to becoming law. It would shorten mandatory minimum sentences and allow judges to have more say when punishing nonviolent offenders. Tonight, our reporter Glenn Counts has a closer look at what it could mean for families here in Charlotte.
No one wants to go to prison, but the vast majority who do will get out at some point.
Eventually, my addiction became such that I began to engage in criminal behaviors to support that habit.
Christy Puckett Williams has been working on criminal justice reform for years. She remembers how difficult it was for her when she got out of prison.
It was very difficult to find a place. So either I had to find a place in someone else's name and kind of like be untruthful, or I had to live with family and friends.
Hello, everybody.
She is thankful that President Trump and Congress put reform on the national agenda yesterday. But that would only be for federal inmates. Puckett has been working much closer to home with the North Carolina Reentry Council. Last week, they introduced a long list of proposals to make it easier for former inmates to succeed on the outside. The first suggestion is a public education campaign.
You have to reframe that narrative, right? And first, it starts by humanizing people who have been incarcerated.
They are also hoping for more education, vocational training for inmates, increasing the use of work release programs, and helping inmates become entrepreneurs through that training.
It's not a legal business, but it's still a business, right? And so having those same skills into a business that is legal and legitimate, I think is something that could really be.
Well, the council will meet in January to finalize those recommendations, and at that point, it would be up to the governor and the legislature to decide whether or not to enact them. Erica?
And of course, Glenn, these changes are bound to cost some money. How will that affect the process?
Well, there are a number of changes that would not cost any money, and those you wouldn't have to go to the legislature. You know, some of the agencies could just change their rules, but there are a number that obviously would cost money, like a housing proposal that would cost upwards of $10 million that would limit the liability of landlords. For that, you'd have to go to the legislature, and then, you know, we'll see what they decide to do.
Thank you, Glenn.